this is Ed Budde, and I live in Kansas City, Missouri. I was brought up in Detroit, Michigan. Went to Denby High School, got my degree there, and I went to Michigan State for 4 years, and I got my degree in education, secondary education. That's high school education. My Bachelor of Science degree in '65. I joined the Chiefs wait a minute, 65. I joined the Chiefs in '63, so I had to go back for a couple of semesters, my student teaching, and I was lacking like 14 credits. Anyway, I went to Kansas City. That's when they moved from Dallas. They were the Dallas Texans, and they moved to Kansas City in '63. I was the number one draft choice along with Buck Buchanan. Bobby Bell was chosen, and David Hill and Gerald Wilson. We all started our careers here in Kansas City. I played 14 years. Go on.
How did you end up going to Michigan State, not Michigan?
Well, Michigan State was after me since I was like a junior in high school. They sent me a letter a couple times, saying that they were interested in me, and I didn't receive any mail from Michigan until my senior year. So I was kind of loyal and went to Michigan State, and I loved Michigan State, and Duffy Doherty was our head coach. We didn't win any championships, but I enjoyed going there and got my degree in secondary education.
What was Duffy like to play for?
He was more of a PR guy. He let the assistant coaches really coach us. He was a very good speaker, I guess. He had a lot of stories, and the people, loved to hear him.
When you were at with Michigan State, you never lost a game to Notre Dame. That'd be a thrill for you.
we beat Notre Dame and Michigan all 3 years that I was there.
Which was a bigger game?
Every year that we played Michigan and Notre Dame, we beat them.
Which was a bigger game for you guys, Michigan or Notre Dame?
Michigan. Michigan was only about 30 miles away, so that was our, bigger rivals.
When did you realize that you could play in the NFL?
Well, I always dreamt. I always, saw the games of the NFL in my TV, and I was always interested in football. And I had a heck of a coach, a high school coach, Ed Rutherford. He passed away years ago, but he knew that I was a good ball player, and he always recommended me going to college.
So you joined the Chiefs the first year they're in Kansas City. What was that transition like?
Well, it's just like, from high school to college to pro. I mean, you get the same size of ball players and fastness and toughness and from college to high school. And then there's another level, of course, that you're the best at your position. And, when you go to the NFL, I mean, that's utopia. I mean, that's it. And then there was always, two leagues. There was AFL and NFL, and I was number one draft choice from the Philadelphia Eagles. So I had to choose from to Kansas City or Dallas. I mean, to the Philadelphia Eagles, and by choice, the monies were the same. I signed an $8,000 bonus and $15,000 a year for 2 years. Well, for 2 years, the $50,000 was the 63 and 64 season.
What was Hank Stram like as your coach?
Hank Stram was the best. He was the innovator of the straight T. That's where the linemen and the backs were lined up in the row, and you never knew, where the tight end was going to go, left or right, to a unbalanced line, so to speak. And that got a lot of people's notice, and a lot of people still use that. And a rollout, we used to have rollouts because Lenny was only 6'1", and we were all 6'4" and over. So he couldn't see around us.
Lenny bounced around before he went to the Chiefs. I mean, he was with the Steelers. I think the Browns had him for a while. What made him so successful with the Chiefs that he didn't stick with the other teams?
Well, because of the talent. I think that we had Jim Tyre was one of the best left tackles in professional football. Mo Mormon was the other guard from Texas A&M. David Hill was from Auburn. Fred Arbanis, our tight end, was from Michigan State. And that's one of the reasons I went, with the Kansas City Chiefs, because of Fred. Used to come back to campus and tell me that this new league was more exciting, more throwing than just running, and consider the AFL instead of the NFL.
The Chiefs had a great offense, but their defense was tough. I mean, you had phenomenal linebackers.
We had, Ed, excuse me. We had Willie Lanier at middle linebacker, Jim Lynch from Notre Dame, and then Bobby Bell on the other side. We had Buck Buchanan, Curly Culp, Jerry Mays. We had, and then Emmett Thomas is in the Hall of Fame. Johnny Robinson should be in the Hall of Fame. He's a safety. And Bobby Hunt, and God, I can't even think of the other guy's name, but we traded him to the Oakland Raiders and got Freddie Williamson.
Oh, not the Hammer.
Yeah, the Hammer.
Who talked more on that
but
team?
We didn't. He didn't play. He didn't play in the Super Bowl. The first Super Bowl was called the championship game that we played against Green Bay, and Green Bay beat us. But then we had a little revenge with the NFL. We beat Minnesota in the fourth one. But then they started calling the Super Bowl, Super Four. And then, matter of fact, Kansas City Chiefs are going to honor the first and second Super Bowl participants September 17th when we played Denver Broncos. They're going to introduce us at halftime.
How many of you guys are still around from those Super Bowls?
Yeah, there's a lot of Chiefs. There's a lot of guys that stuck around Kansas City because we liked it so much. That's why I stayed. After professional football, I was a teacher, and then I was selling musical instruments, and then I was selling insurance, and everybody had an off-season job because we didn't make that much.
No, exactly.
Like 14 years later, when I retired in '76, I made $75,000, which was pretty good at that time. Now, they're making millions. Signing bonus and $1 million and $2 million a year, or $4 million.
Oh, it's crazy.
So a lot of people ask me, what's the difference when you were playing? I said size and money. In size, we average about 260, 265. Let's see, David Hill was about 275. Jim Tyre was like 295. He was the heaviest. And me and Mo was about 265. And E.J. Hollop was about 250. So
you guys,
now they're all over 300 pounds.
But you guys had it tougher because you had 2-a-day practices.
With pads. That's another thing. On. We went up to practice last Sunday, and now in the contract, they can only practice 23 days, and 12 or 13 days, they wear pads. So now, when Stram was coaching us, we used to get in there, July 15th till the first exhibition game, and we used to go, twice a day with pads. For about a month.
And you practice tackling too. They don't tackle anymore.
I know. Yeah, things have changed, David.
Who talked more in the Chiefs?
I blame my parents. They had me too early.
Exactly, and you had your son. Too early too.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he signed for $100,000 and $250 a year in 1980, and now he was the number one draft choice. And now, like I said, they're signing for $1 million if you're number one draft choice, and $2 or $3 million a year.
Ron Yeri told me, where else in the world can you, as a 22-year-old, graduate college, practice 2 hours a day, have the rest of the day off, play the game you love 1 day a week, and make all that money right out of college?
I know that. Yeah, Yuri's right.
That's
the American way.
Who talked more in the Chiefs, Bobby Bell or Fred Williamson?
Probably E.J. Hollop, really. E.J. Hollop was the talker. He used to wake us up at 4:30, 5 o'clock because he was from the farms, and he used to wake up and milk the cows when But Bobby had a lot to say, there was Freddie Williamson, loved to talk, to the press and stuff. The Hammer.
That's what he refers himself till this day as the Hammer. It's not Fred Williamson, it's the Hammer.
I know. Yeah,
but
he was a good one though.
Some of the Chief players, Chief players till this day insist that he faked getting hurt in that playoff game so he could get out of it, that championship, because he was getting burned too bad.
You're talking about the All-Star game?
Yes.
The college All-Star game?
Right.
I played in the East-West game, and then I played in the Senior Bowl, and then we went on, Bobby Bell and Buck and I went to Chicago for that college All-Star game, and we beat Green Bay. I was one of the captains. I was the offensive captain, and Leroy Jordan, the middle linebacker for Dallas for a long time, was the defensive captain.
And your coach was what, Otto Graham on those teams?
Yeah, Otto Graham.
That'd be a thrill to beat the defending Super Bowl champion.
Bill Stanfield used to play with the with the Detroit Lions, and he was the offensive line coach at the college All-Star game.
He just passed away this year. He lived in Chicago.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he was a good one.
He's another guy who should be in the Hall of Fame, who they made a finalist twice and didn't put in.
Yeah, you better believe it. Yeah, the older guys, they have a senior committee now, and that's when, a couple of days ago we just put in Will Shields, the All-Pro, 12-year All-Pro offensive guard, and then they mentioned Johnny Robinson and Otis Taylor. They should be in there too. The older guys. The senior guys.
Yeah, I mean, you were a 7-time Pro Bowler. Why aren't you in?
I don't know. Yeah, well, that's another thing that you said, and maybe you could straighten it out, because I made the All-Star game. We used to call it the All-Star game. So I got it in 63, 66, 67, 68, 69, and 70. That's the All-Star games, okay? And then 71 and 72, I made the Pro Bowl. So that's 8 times instead of 7 times. And even the Chiefs came over and took pictures of the plaques that I have. And, there's 6 All-Star games and 2 Pro Bowls, which are golden helmets on a board.
No, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
So David, straighten that out.
I am. I've talked to you. I've talked to Jerry Kramer, Billy Houghton, all these guys. It's like, but the thing is now, to get in the Hall of Fame, you have to be an ESPN guy, NFL Network, promote yourself, and then you got a good chance of getting in. The older guys, they forget about. I mean, look at Ray Guy. He was the best punter in history, and it took him 30 years.
I know. Yeah, exactly.
Len Dawson
Ray Guy and then Gerald Wilson too. Gerald Wilson was our punter, and he always told us that he coached Ray Guy.
He taught him how to punt.
Yeah, exactly.
Is it because the Chiefs were in the AFL, you guys didn't get the respect that the NFL teams did? You think that might be one of the reasons?
I don't know, David. Who knows? I mean, if that's the case, shame on them. But there's not any better linebacker than Bobby Bell in the NFL or AFL or Canadian and everything else. So I think that he was probably the best ball player that I played with.
What defensive
talent-wise?
What defensive lineman gave you the hardest time?
Who?
What defensive lineman did you have the hardest time against?
Shit, they're all tough. I scrimmage against Buck Buchanan every day. 1-on-1 and scrimmages and everything. So that made me a better ball player, and that made him a better ball player because I was playing on him. But Buck was, Buck rest his soul. He's passed away several years ago at 46, 47 years old. And he was a hell of a ball player. But Houston Antwine, he was a fire plug. He was like 6'1", 6'2", like 280 or something like that. And Bob Lilly from the Dallas Cowboys, they're all tough, or they wouldn't have been there, playing number 1.
No, you're absolutely right.
But I left my story. I got married in high school to my high school sweetheart, and we had Brad, and we both graduated together, and we're still married for 57 years.
She must be very patient.
Carolyn, yeah, she I know. She was tough.
Was
She's
she
tough.
was she tougher than Coach Stram?
Yeah, I know. I said, yes, dear, yes, dear. That's why we stayed married.
Exactly. How did you start putting your left hand on the ground instead of the right when you were in your stance?
I don't know. I just thought, left guard. I should go left-handed. It was easier to sweep and trap than my right because I always took that extra step to get out of there, and so it made me quicker, running sweep plays.
Makes total sense. You think someone would have thought of it earlier?
I know exactly.
So was the Super Bowl winning it against the Vikings? Was that your favorite moment in the NFL?
Well, probably. Well, sure, because we won. But my year of really, I felt really good. In '68, that's when all the receivers were hurt, and we went to the straight T or full house backfield, and we ran out. On Oakland, and I won the lineman of the week. That's the first lineman that ever won in the NFL or AFL.
For you to get that award was something because again, people forget about the linemen. Yeah. They always think about the receivers, running backs, quarterback.
Yeah, exactly. So that was quite an honor.
What was Lamar Hunt like?
Lamar Hunt was very quiet. He always, flew into Kansas City and flew out with us, or would meet us there in other towns that we played in. But we didn't talk that much. I mean, he was a likable guy and everything, but he stayed more in the background. He was the owner. He was the one with the cash, and he was the one with the final decision and anything that went on. And then we just lost last week, Jack Stedman. Jack Stedman was the general manager for years and years, and I used to talk contract with him. I never had an agent.
Why was that? You just trusted you could get it done with the GM?
Well, that's what I thought, that, why pay somebody else 8% or, what do they pay now? I don't know what they pay now, but I mean, they maybe I should have had an agent to talk with me, talk for me, but, I just thought that, I should be making, certain monies because we were winning, so I went for it, and I told him how good I was, and he told me how that I wasn't that good. so maybe I should have had an agent. But anyway, no, I like the guy. He lived in Kansas City all his life after football. So we even go to Bible study, Bible study together.
No, you're right about these Kansas City players. They stay in the community. Like you said, Bobby Bell, Len Dawson, Otis Taylor.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. I'm the president of the NFL Alumni Kansas City chapter, and they always say, do you have to go out and get all other ball players to play in your golf tournament, because we raise money for kids, the Special Olympics and junior diabetes, and so anyway, we have that every year, and I don't have to go out to anybody and ask them to come in, because I have enough ball players here for 36 to 38 teams.
That's incredible. I mean, but again, even in Chicago, when I see them have golf outings here, the Hall of Fame guys, you always see Curly Culp come out. You'll see
Yeah.
Bobby Bell. You'll see Roger
Yeah.
Worley, even though he's from Missouri. The same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
It seems like you guys took care of each other.
Yeah, I don't have to go to other. Well, the first year here though, I invited Willie Wood. I invited Jerry Kramer. There was a bunch of them that came from because I wanted to be note that that there was no animosity toward the Green Bay Packers. So I said get introduced to the Green Bay Packers, because they'll be here to participate in the golf tournament.
How many of them came out?
Real well. And it worked out real well. About 5 or 6.
That's great. But again, you competed on the field, but you were friends off the field.
Yeah, exactly.